welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. Owen back again for another guest episode. Very honoured to be joined by Ryan Evans, patron of the show. Definitely the first time that we've had someone from the Patreon on the show as a guest. So thank you for coming in.
It's an honour to be here, Owen. Thank you for having me, and it's really cool to be the first patron here in the studio. It's an honour supporting really cool content creators like yourself and Paige.
Yeah, thank you so much. If I can make that happen for any of the other patrons of the show, I will endeavour to do so. But you are probably always going to be the first, mainly because we live in the same city.
100%.
So. There's like one guy on our Patreon, shout out to Chris. I chat with him in like the little Patreon DM feature probably every day. And he sends me Bandcamp links and cool stuff that he's found. And it's like having a pen pal.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh man, I'd love to like get him on the show for something. So
is this Deaf Chris?
No, this is another Chris. He lives in Montreal.
Oh, wow.
He's like an international correspondent on the ground, going to shows, sending me stuff. Shout out to Chris. He's a legend.
That's awesome. I know very little about the Quebec kind of scene, so it's wild.
I don't know a lot. There is a really cool kind of like oi punk revival thing going on in Quebec and Montreal specifically.
Cool.
There's a bunch of bands like Puffer, Baton Armour, Violent Way, a bunch of bands that I've like featured on the show in the roundups that all come from there. So like whatever's in the water over there is definitely of the oi punk variety.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I know that Despised Icon are from Montreal as well. I spoke to them last year. Outside of that, I don't know a great deal about it. But like, I used to play in a oi punk band when I was in my late teens, early 20s. So
we're getting into the Ryan law straight up. Let's go.
That hits hard. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, sick. Well, speaking of Ryan law, let's do like an introduction. So people who might not be familiar with you or what you do, they can get educated as part of this episode. So who are you?
Cool. So, hi, my name is Ryan. I host Tyrannocoreus, which is a metal hardcore program on PBS FM 106.7. I host a 2-hour show every single Tuesday evening from 10 p.m. till midnight Melbourne time.
Yeah.
I've been doing it almost 5 years.
Yeah, sick. I'll have a bunch of assets and bits and pieces up on the screen for people so they can find the website. Now, this kind of pivots directly into what we were talking about off mic, but the idea of doing a radio show in 2026, starkly different to the idea of like the radio shock jock host of the 70s and 80s, because you're doing essentially a digital show that can be streamed anytime. So like you do have a time slot and a new time slot for this year, but you can listen to that show at any time. I was saying to you off mic that I listened to the most recent show this morning in prep for this chat. So like, talk to me about that. Like the idea of doing radio in the current era seems kind of like new territory.
It is in a way. Like, I think the world has changed so much in the last decade, especially in terms of technology, in terms of how people access music.
Yeah.
And the fact that radio still exists is pretty wonderful, but it's definitely different from what it was when I was a teenager.
For sure.
Listening to Triple J flat out.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that it can be streamable on demand, that's what sets us apart, is the fact that it can be consumed in the way that anyone consumes a podcast or any of the streaming services that they would use. So, very fortunate, because especially starting and doing 5 years of late night radio, not a lot of people were awake at 2 in the morning or whenever it might have been. Definitely got a little bit more activity now that I'm on PM instead of AM.
Yeah.
But the fact that it can be streamed is pretty amazing.
I've only listened to the live show on PBS one time, and it was Robin's show, No Barriers. I was down here in this room doing late night editing, and I put it on, and I was listening, and you guys have the text feature where you can like text in, and it was like 4 in the morning or whenever her slot used to be.
Yeah.
And I remember just like sending through a text and then hearing Robin kind of like shout me out on the show. And I was like, oh yeah, that is dope. That's like a cool feature. And I was like, shame it has to be at 4 in the morning to make that happen.
That's the one challenge with it being live. And to be able to communicate with anyone via a podcast. Obviously, you have your social media channels. You've got the Patreon chat that you have as well.
Yeah.
I don't have access to that, but people can hit me up on socials, and I get messages and stuff through Instagram or whatever it might be. But the text chat is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Especially if people are listening live, and I love getting texts through.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
the shows, I would imagine, are kind of curated ahead of time, right? Like you would be able to kind of like slot everything that you're going to play. Can you drop stuff in live? Like if you get a text from someone and they shout out a particular band or a song, like can you drop that into the show in real time?
I mean, it depends on if I've got it with me.
Okay.
So I've got a huge digital library.
Right.
I should have brought my iPod with me. I've got a modded iPod that's got my entire music library with me, which is cool.
Love that.
And yeah, it's 250 odd gig worth of music,
Massive.
which is ridiculous, especially when we live in a streaming world and everyone can access anything. I don't use streaming services live on air because if there's a signal issue or something, the last thing you want is to go to dead air.
Yeah.
If I've got the ability to play something on a whim, I will, but I do try and curate everything well in advance and be a bit less fluid. I'm pretty ADHD with that kind of thing. Like I need to be pretty structured, so I know, I'm going to do these 4 songs, and I'll come in and I'll have a chat and I'll play this interview.
Sure.
There's got to be some level of fluidity though, because it's very easy to talk for a long time on air about something, or you're reading back texts over the line. You're like, oh, I need to cut a song to make up that time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And because you do have like a scheduled slot, you can't be pushing over into someone else's time.
Not at all.
One of the advantages of ripping a podcast.
Correct.
Is we can make this shit as long as we want, and then I just fix it all in the edit. So dead air, not so much of an issue for a podcast.
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, it's a challenge live, especially live.
Talk to me about the show then. So Tyrannocoreus is coming up to its 5-year anniversary milestone.
Correct.
We have something special to talk about for that a little bit later in the show. But that means that you started the show 2021?
Yep.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. How did the show come about? Do you have a history doing radio? Were you just plucked off the street at random? Did they throw you in a van and be like, do radio, do it now?
So I actually told this story last year. So I played in the Reclink Community Cup, which is the footy game that happens every year. It's a charity footy game between the Megahertz, which is a team made up of PBS and Triple R broadcasters.
Right, okay.
And the Rock Dogs, which is a team of musicians.
I see.
And we were going around the whole team and saying, how did you get into radio? And I told my story that I kind of got that bug when I was in grade 6, and we did a excursion to the local community radio station in Yarrambat. It was Plenty Valley FM 88.6.
Yeah.
Shout out Plenty Valley.
That's a sick excursion,
it
by
was
the way.
so cool, absolutely. I just loved being on the mic and talking nonsense, and the bug took over.
Yeah.
I decided pretty much then and there, like, this is what I want to do with my life. And I did a bunch of work experience when we did work experience in year 8, 9, 10 at different radio stations, and really just fell in love with the option of being, playing on the panel and talking on the mic and curating a playlist. And it was just so fun. I did a announcer course for Plenty Valley FM, and I did all of the theoretical stuff, and I just had to do the practical stuff. At the time, I was 16, so I had no way of getting to the station conveniently. And around the same time, I started playing in bands. And then it kind of just fell by the wayside. I'd forgotten all about it. Fast forward to me being in my early 30s and just got divorced, and I was pretty flat.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad were like, hey, remember when radio was all you wanted to do and you've forgotten all about it for like 15 years? We've booked you in to do the radio announcer course at PBS FM. I'm like, I'd forgotten all about this. It was just like a switch flicked in my brain, like, oh,
Right.
yeah, cool. So I went and did the radio course in 2016.
Yeah. Wow.
Learned how to use the panel, learned how to put everything together, recorded a demo. From there, you go to the board and the board says, yep, we're happy to get you in to do what's called a new noise. And new noise is generally a Saturday night, 2 a.m. till 6 a.m., where they put all the people in for their first ever show.
Right.
Did my first new noise. Didn't stuff up too badly. got many options to keep doing backfills.
Were you stressed? Like any kind of trepidation or anxiety? 'Cause, like, that's a pretty decent break.
It was enormous. Yeah, I was very nervous. I kind of settled into a rhythm. It took me a while though, but that first hour, my heart rate was like over 120 the whole time, and then I kind of settled in. Probably.
I've never been into the studio, but like, do they have like a big like live on air, like big kind of like light that's just like staring at you the whole time, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm live.
Yes,
Every
absolutely.
fuck up goes out to everyone live.
Yeah, I actually stuffed up that first ever show as well, and like I had something playing as it was on cue, so it was only playing to me, it wasn't playing to the broadcast, and I realized after 20 seconds, I'm like, no, and I just like skipped to the next song.
I did that as a DJ many times. Like, had stuff queued up in the headphones, and I was like listening and being like, "Yeah, dope." And then look up, and everyone's looking at you because it's just quiet. And you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, mistakes happen, and it's good to make mistakes because then you learn from
Of course.
them. So, I ended up just keep doing fills for 4 or 5 years, I think.
Wow. Okay.
I filled in for a couple of months on another show when one of the announcers was away. And then from there, it's just trying to get on the grid. And again, that's got to go back to the programming board at PBS, and it has to get ratified and say, yep, what's the hardest part is getting a vacancy on the slot, because once people have a show, they don't want to leave.
No.
Because it's a really cool platform to have. So
Yeah.
you either need to retire or move away or drop dead, basically, for that vacancy to pop up. So yeah, I had to wait until 2021, and then I got my very own slot on the grid.
Yeah. So okay, let's kind of talk about that process then, because there's a bunch of different kind of periods that you've kind of tracked through.
Yes.
So you're doing fill-ins, you've got your foot in the door, then the slot opens up. So you have this idea of like, okay, well, if I was to have a show, what would it be?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. How do you conceive of Tyrannocoreus? The name itself. Are you just like a Jurassic Park head? Is that where it comes from?
100% it is. And in hindsight, my only regret from the last 5 years is choosing a 5-syllable word that doesn't exist to be my program name. But that's my identity.
It is distinct.
100%. It stands out. It also does not really roll off the tongue super easy. But
have you done many typos in trying to type it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
I did typos in the notes that I did up for this episode, and I was like, "Fuck! I bet that happens to Ryan all the time."
Yeah. Google Docs hates the word because it doesn't. It's I've ignored it that many times.
Incredible.
And it just keeps popping up. I forgot what we were.
So talk to me about how you conceive of the show.
Conceive of the show. So I have my mentor at PBS is Kenny Lightfoot, who hosts Burning Bitumen. So he spent a lot of time with me working on my proposal to go to the grid. And it was basically, this is a bunch of genres that I love. And I've always loved metalcore and deathcore and punk. I've loved melodic death metal. Like, these are a bunch of genres that were not being covered by PBS. And Kenny was like, you need to lean into these because that's what's going to get you across the line.
It helps set you apart from other proposals, other shows. Like 100%. Find your niche.
Yes. And the reason I had to be so clearly articulated is that a lot of the people on the board would be, jazz listeners or blues, and they would just see metal and just think, oh, it's another metal show. And
he's just going to play Black Sabbath all night.
Exactly.
We've done that before. And you're like, no,
it's different.
It's different.
So yeah, trying to explain why and how it's different. Like, these are the biggest bands. This is the reach. This is the way I would structure a show. It was probably about 6 months of working on that proposal and fine tuning it, and spending a lot of time with Kenny on what he thought would work and wouldn't work,
Mm.
and fine tuning that. And yeah, thankfully, with his support, I got my foot in the door and got to where I am now. So I owe a lot to Kenny. He's been a very, very good mentor to have.
I guess like you're 5 years in. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Huge milestone for a radio show. How do you go about curating episodes? What's your kind of like weekly plan to do the show?
So I try and plan pretty far in advance because, again, for me, it's my neurodivergent side of my brain. I'm like, I need to be organized. I need to be prepped. I've got 3 or 4 shows ready that in case of an emergency break glass, I can be like, right, I've had a terrible week with the kids and I've had a shocking week with work. I haven't planned anything. I'm just going to pull this one off the shelf. For me, I do a lot of interviews and I try and structure my shows around said interviews.
Yep.
And be like, right, if I'm interviewing this band or that band, I'll play, 4 songs from that artist, and then, they're playing this show and I'll play these bands, and I kind of backwards fill from there.
Yeah.
What I also try and do is do at least 1 show a month where I don't do any interviews. It's a good palate refresher for me to just play music and do a fun theme.
Yeah.
And also it gives a break. Like I'm sure that like how long we spend in the editing process.
Yep.
Editing is a pain for interviews, but it's a necessary evil to publish a good product. So doing that allows me to kind of pre-prepare shows in advance, and then I can either have a week off and spend more time with the family and the kids and everything, or I can be working on the next thing in the background.
Yeah. And with the interviews, like that's another interesting thing. So the most recent show that I listened to for last week, so this is like mid-January, you had what I would imagine was a pre-recorded interview with one of the members of Archspire.
So that was
like,
pre-recorded via Zoom. I do a lot via Zoom.
Yeah, so that's like the technical death metal kind of interview over Zoom.
Yes.
And then you had a friend of the show, Allison from Blood Oath, and Rick in the studio.
Yes.
And that was like a live interview.
Yeah.
So what's kind of the brain pattern you have to hold in being able to like plan the show ahead of time in all the ways that you've articulated, know that you can slot in a pre-recorded interview, but then you have to leave a gap for the live interview, and then you have to make sure that the live interview hits the brief, I guess, or the slot, and then you've got songs from the artist on the other side. So I imagine like there's a different kind of like switch you have to do over Zoom as opposed to in studio, right?
100%. And like you mentioned before about not having to worry about a certain time limit on the podcast, I don't stress too much when I'm recording an interview in Zoom because I can chop it to be exactly. I can chop it to how short it needs to be. I can eliminate the ums and ahs. I can get rid of any question entirely if it doesn't hit the brief that I wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
Live, you just got to roll with it.
It's just raw, baby.
Yeah, and I love it because it is real and it's fun. And I try not to. I don't like scripting anything.
Yeah.
I might give artists a list and say, oh, hey, I'm going to ask about the EP. I'm going to ask about this show.
It's kind of like what we do.
Yeah.
Like off mic, just like, here are the beats I'm going to hit.
Exactly.
If that's cool, let's go.
But otherwise, you just want it to be a fluid conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing worse than someone reading off a paper, blah, 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 blah. I used to do that a lot when I started doing interviews. I'd like pre-script all my questions, and then I found that I wasn't actually just engaging in a conversation.
Totally.
So,
I've had the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Just like the notes are there to kind of like hold in your head to help orient your conversation.
Correct.
But they shouldn't be like actual sentences that you read out to the artist, because that's just it's not engaging and it's not enjoyable to listen to. And I find that it puts the artist like off because they don't feel like it's an an actual engaged conversation.
Correct.
That's my own personal experience anyway. But yeah, we all start there and then immediately just go, that's awkward. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
My personal pet peeve is people who do video interviews but read off their phone
It's the
in the
worst.
interview. It's like, come on, dog.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. By all means, like, have your notes there.
Yeah.
Look at them, cut it out.
Yeah.
There's ways around it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you can't hold like a 20-minute interview's worth of like bullet points in your head, get a different job. What are you doing?
Literally. Or just refine your skills.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
There's a lot of really good content creators out there who do the same thing that we do.
Yeah.
Just watch other people or listen to other people who do things. And I think that was how I upskilled myself, is just from watching and listening to all the other cool people who do cool podcasts or cool radio shows.
It's just like any other craft. Like, you respect the other people who do it, and you know, they help sharpen your blade. You know what I mean? Like, you got to like watch what they're doing, kind of make sure that like you're kind of not competing, but doing something as good, and it should, you know, lift everyone to the same level, right? That's kind of what I do. That's why I listen to your show, listen to Robin's show, watch a lot of podcasts. Like, this is the business, you know what I mean? You got to make sure that like you're offering something that people actually enjoy. Because I could just talk into the mic all day and do a big rambling episode, but I'm not sure people would listen to that. So I've got to like self-curate.
100%. You got to be self-aware, but you've also got to upskill, and by listening to other people, you can kind of progress that as well.
Yeah.
And I would listen to you ramble for sure.
Thank you.
Like that Parkway one you did. Like, I'm not saying it was a ramble, but that was a solo thing where you did like the doco, the video essay.
Video essay, yeah. And I mean,
wonderful.
like, thank you. That was something new for me, and something that Paige kind of pushed me to do. And I want to do more, but it just takes time.
Yeah.
And with Audrey here, it kind of helps suck away some of the free time that I had to experiment previously. But I really enjoy that video, and I would definitely experiment with that format more. I found that like I was a little bit stilted on camera because I was like reading from like a script.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I was to do it in future, I would probably do the same thing that we just talked about, like have the beats that you're going to hit, but make it more kind of off the cuff.
Yeah.
And then if you like, you know, you riff and it doesn't quite land, you just riff again.
Yep.
And you riff again. And then you go back in the edit and you find the best one and you're like, that's the one that you keep and keep going. So
100%.
like I've already got in my head like ways to improve that one thing that I did.
Yep.
So
Perfect.
I feel you. But thank you for shouting it out.
No worries at all. And you know, I think my biggest mantra is never stop learning. The second you put your hands up and go, yeah, no, I'm done, I know everything, that's the second you fall behind, because new skills will appear, people will do something different, new technology will exist. Like, you've got to constantly evolve and push yourself, and that's what I try and do every single week.
Yeah. And I mean, like, in ways that we've already touched on, like the whole idea of doing a radio show is constantly evolving and constantly meeting the new technology, the new modes of consumption. So yeah, you've got to change with it as it changes.
Correct.
Before we get into some of the other stuff that I want to hit for the episode, I have 2 questions for you.
Of course.
So, favorite entire show of Tyrannocoreus that you've done? Maybe like a particular theme or something that you've curated in the past. And then of the interviews that you've done, favorite interview?
Oh, very good questions. Favorite show, I'm gonna give a shout out to Pikey from 32 Records.
Okay.
He gave me the idea for this show. So I had Pikey in for a live interview, and we interviewed Smelly from NoFX together.
Sick.
And I got him to help me put the playlist together, and he's like, oh, I really wanted to play The Decline, which is NoFX's famous 18-minute opus.
Yep. That's going to chew into your slot.
It is a little bit. And I told Pikey, I'm like, oh, every year I do a long song special, and I'm going to play The Decline on my next long song special. And Pikey said, you know what you should do? You should do a short song special.
Yes.
I'm like, okay. And I spent about 9 months working on this short song special, and it was absurd. So in my 2-hour slot, I played 341 songs. There was a lot of micro songs. If you think like, if you think of like, you know, You Suffer and the MO was
I'm
nothing.
thinking of anal cunt
Yeah,
specifically,
I
like
think-
the little like 10-second
Yeah,
like blast beat grind
there was
bits.
definitely a anal cunt song in
Incredible.
there. Absolutely. The cutoff was 60 seconds. Had to be songs under 60 seconds. I actually applied to the Guinness Book of World Records. I was like, hey, I'm doing this, and they said no, we can't quantify that as being a world record. But I've been assured.
What?
I've been assured by. I'm like, this is the playlist. It's published. You can listen back. I've been assured by PBS that no one's ever done anything like that before. So it's definitely a PBS record.
Because it's a crazy thing to do,
It's
Ryan.
so stupid. So that show I was doing midnight till 2.
Yeah.
And I don't think I left the studio until about 4 a.m. because that's how long it took me to actually publish all the song titles on the website. And that's me being anal, having it all in a Google sheet, just Control-C, Control-V into the website. And yeah, it still took me another 2 hours after my show to publish everything.
That's crazy.
So that's my favorite show I've ever done, just in terms of absolutely pushing the absurd boundaries.
That
I
is
can.
audacious.
Yeah,
I like it.
It was silly. It was very silly. Favorite interview? I've had a few really good interviews. I think one of my favorites, though, is definitely Brian Welch, or Head from Korn.
Yeah.
And that one was quite early on in my career as well. I think I recorded it in my first year and broadcasted in my second. And
That's sick.
it was so cool. So cool. I've been, Korn were one of my gateway bands.
Yeah.
And to get that opportunity was just incredible. And it was just a really lovely chat.
I've heard that he's like very lovely to interview.
He's so nice.
Yeah.
We just had the most amazing conversation. So, I've done hundreds of interviews and I'm sure I'll do hundreds more. But that one absolutely stands out for the fact that he's, one of the first bands that I really fell in love with, but also the fact that he was so lovely.
Yeah, that's sick.
Building the strength to rise up to our feet. Regain the will to fight back. Eye for eye, set me free.
Before we move on to talk about the main reason that I have you in the studio and on the show, we've already mentioned her a couple of times, but I would be remiss without giving Robin from No Barriers a shout out.
100%.
PBS colleague of yours, a spiritual sister show.
Correct.
Talk to me about working with Robin. You guys have done a couple of little crossover bits and pieces since her show started last year. It's been running for about a year.
Just over 12 months now, I think. Yeah. Robin and I gelled from the second that we met. So I think she was filling in for Kenny on Burning Bitumen the first day I met. And yeah, it just felt like we were, siblings. Like we just had that instant chemistry. She's so lovely. And yeah, we've done a few shows together. I'm sure we'll do many more together as well. And the fact that we both, cross over in that hardcore territory, it's awesome to have another program on the grid that, dabbles in what I dabble in.
Yeah.
And not just that, she's just the coolest human being and a wonderful presenter. Her show, No Barriers, is incredible. And the fact that now she's directly after my program, so you've got
kind of back to
4
back.
hours of awesome content back to back. Or you can listen on demand.
That's true. You can.
But if you're up at midnight till 2 a.m. On a Tuesday evening, you definitely should listen to Robin. She's fantastic.
With the recent schedule change or like time slot change, was that something that was offered to you, or is that something that you just get told? You're like, hey, here's when the show is now.
It's something I was absolutely offered.
Okay.
So you don't ever get forced. I had expressed that I would like to move out of the AM hours. As you know, it's challenging being a parent of young children.
Totally.
And I have a couple of young children myself, and doing a program until 2 a.m. live every single week is hard because, I don't get home.
Very, very forgiving partner, I would imagine.
Oh, she gives me so much leeway. I owe Candace a lot. Absolutely.
Shout out to Candace.
Shout out Candace. Yeah, but I wouldn't get home until 2:30, and it takes me a while to switch off and actually fall back asleep.
Yeah.
To move to this time slot is a life changer. It's so incredible. So we had Screaming Symphony, the power metal program that was on Thursday evenings. They were broadcasting from, I think, 1999 they started. And then New Year's Day, they did their last ever show. We knew that was going to be their last show, and it's because one of the members was moving to Queensland.
Yeah.
So they physically couldn't be in studio
Yeah,
to do it
right.
anymore. As soon as it became apparent that they were moving, I was asked, like, would you like to move? And I'm like, absolutely. Again, it's good to go to the board.
Yeah.
And the board were very happy to, move Kenny from his slot to where Screaming Symphony was. I took over Kenny's slot, and then Robin's taken over my old slot.
Everyone just kind of like moves their piece
It's
around.
the domino
Nice.
effect, absolutely.
But I think like on paper that makes a lot of sense then to kind of like have you in that slot, then back to back with Robin's show.
I think it suits so well.
For that particular audience, like you can potentially hook them in for a couple more hours. You know what I mean? Like that's it kind of just makes sense.
100%. If you listen to anything in the core world, then that 4-hour bracket will have you covered.
Yeah, that's sick.
And it also makes sense for Kenny to be on a Thursday because we've got Through the Collapse, which follows him now. So you go from 2 hours of extreme metal into 2 hours of black and death metal. So like, again, that's got you covered.
Yeah, perfect.
Aesthetically, it seems to work really well on both fronts.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, that's your kind of intro, origin story, and your current baby covered.
Yes.
Especially as a man with other babies.
Correct.
Current baby. Let's talk about the fest.
Yeah,
Let's
cool.
talk about the reason for getting you on the show. So you initially emailed me all the way back in November.
Correct.
And I did not get back to you until like 3 days ago. So I'm very sorry about that. I was in the weeds of newborn life and changing nappies and stuff. So I saw the EPK that you sent through for this show that you're putting on. And I was like, this is really cool. I know Ryan. We've not really had like a huge amount of conversation. We've like run into each other at fests and stuff a little bit, but
Absolutely.
like we definitely said what's up to each other before.
Yeah.
And I was like, it'd be really cool to get him on the show. He's been a big supporter of the pod. You're on the Patreon, so tick. And I was like, let's get him on the show. But the reason for that is because of your 5th anniversary festival show. And it's a doozy. So please go off, King. Tell us about the show.
So 7th of February at the Tote, I'm putting on Dino Mosh, which is my 5th anniversary festival. I've got 15 bands playing across all 3 stages at the Tote. It's kicking off at 3 p.m. and it'll go through till pretty much right on midnight. My whole theory was I wanted to give back to the community that's given me so much. I want to give bands an awesome opportunity to play awesome sets in front of an adoring audience, and it all be bands that I love and have supported and will continue to support. I think it's something that I used to go to a lot of mini fests when I was younger. Like there would be, all ages events that'd be on at like Moody Ponds and the like, and it was always so fun seeing a multi-genre cross blend of things.
Yes.
And
we love a mixed bill.
Mixed bills are the best.
Mixed bills are the best.
And I wanted to do that, basically, because I cover a lot of different genres on my program.
You do.
And, that's how that idea was kind of conceived.
Yeah. So you approach like the 5th anniversary milestone of the show, similar to kind of my questions around the radio show. So, like, when did you conceive of like, all right, I should do a show? And then when did the show become a 3-stage festival? Because I imagine there's a slope there of like, this is going to be more work and this is going to take more of my time, but this is kind of what I'm thinking.
I guess the seed was planted, again, I'm going to throw back to Kenny from Burning Bitumen. He did a belated 21st show at the Bendy a few years ago and did a multi-stage event, and he was like, "Oh, you could do something like this, Ryan." I'm like, "Yeah, I could do this." And
have you put on shows previously? Because you mentioned playing in bands. So, like, did you book your own shows and stuff like that?
So I didn't do a lot of booking, but I was in a freezer group when I was like 17 through 19. Helped run some shows out of the McLeod YMCA for a group called FEAB, which stood for Frog in a Blender.
Cool.
But I have not done anything since I was 19. So like
Okay.
it's a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bit rusty on the book promoter.
100%. 100%. But nothing that, having a lot of conversations with a lot of bands, it's meant that my network's pretty awesome. And it means that I can not lean on people, but ask for advice.
Yeah.
Say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's just kind of grown from there. I think I wanted it to be a real wow kind of event. I didn't want it to just be another, here's a 4, 5, 6 band bill, which would be cool, but go hard or go home.
Yeah. No,
I guess.
feel you.
Yeah. If I'm going to do something, then I'm going to put everything I got into it. That's how I've always been. And have I bitten off more than I can chew? I hope not. But I've certainly gone hard, and I hope that it's going to be an amazing day.
Yeah. I mean, everything looks incredible so far. Like, I'll put all the flyer assets and stuff on the screen for people to see, but like the poster's incredible. Everything looks great. Talk to me about curating the lineup. And again, a lot of symmetry to the show itself.
Correct.
So you're picking from, I guess, predominantly local acts.
Yes.
How are you selecting in your mind the bands to approach, and then kind of get the yes or the okay for people to actually book in?
So for me, it was just, again, coming back to bands that I love, bands that I've seen live that are awesome live, bands that have put out awesome music, and bands that I've had really cool, honest, open interviews with, and I feel like we've got a genuine connection, bands that I'll hang out with and have a chat with at gigs. That was kind of where I started, and trying to kind of cover that cross-genre capability as well. So I didn't want to have too many the same style sounding bands.
No.
Go, okay, I'm going to approach this band first, and then we'll see what they say. I got a lot of no's. And that's totally fine as well. No shade to anyone who turned me down. There were some very justifiable reasons for them. And
there's a lot of shows going on at the moment.
It's a busy time of year.
It's a very saturated time of year.
Yeah.
Like this week in particular for our style of music, it's fucking crazy.
Yep.
The amount of shows, the international shows, the local shows. I mean, like Melbourne has one of the most vibrant, probably if not the most vibrant kind of live music scene in the country. And even for alternative music, it's like very, very busy all the time. So I would imagine, like, even with a lead up of like, I'm going to do this in the new year, I'm going to do this around this time, like, it would be incredibly hard to slot yourself in with everything that's happening all the time.
Correct. I spoke to Janine Morkos.
Shout out
Janine.
Friend of the show.
She's amazing. And probably 50% of the interviews I've ever done have come through her and Tiana.
Oh,
so,
she hooks our show up all the time.
Yeah, she's a
legend.
She is a legend. But yeah, I spoke to her. I'm like, hey, I've got this date penciled in and I'm planning on doing this. Do you know if that's going to clash with anything? And she's like, look, there's a lot that I can't say, but like, I think you're okay. And then it turned out that it was a clear week, because I think it was the week after is the Life's a Beach Polaris Fest.
Yes.
The week after that was meant to be Park Waves, which has since been binned, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate that I did get some clear air, but there's every chance that I might not have.
Yeah.
And that, like, there's other shows on the night. I know that you just had Ends in Tragedy, and that band absolutely rips, and they're doing the Show of the Brodia, the all ages thing on the same night. I know we've got Earthbound and Alira and Bergie on the same night. It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Yeah, you're never going to get 100% clear air, and that's totally cool as well.
It's a big city. People got to have options.
100%. And all I can do is say, hey, I got 15 really cool bands, and you should come. It should be a good time.
You should.
Yeah.
You should grab a ticket.
Absolutely.
If it's not already sold out by the time I put this out.
There's every opportunity that it could be, yes.
This is all I fucking got. I will never get enough. Worrying I'm a fucking lot. Just so you gotta sing along. It's the same old sad song. It's the same old sad song. Where are you stand for me? Masterpiece. I'm so hard to kill.
let's have a look at the lineup here. I don't have it committed to memory. I do have to look at my notes.
Every time I've tried
shade to myself 20 minutes ago. Let's talk about the headliners.
Yes.
Body Prison.
Body Prison are the
Xenobiotic.
boys, and Xenobiotic are awesome as well. So I've been friends with Xeno since 2018, 2019. Their old bassist Fabian and I met in Black Dahlia Murder Facebook group, and yeah, I've literally got like a whole circle of friends from that community, which is wild, and we never talk about Black Dahlia anymore. But like I've now got all these amazing friends all over the country, and some from internationally, which is really wild.
Yeah.
So Fabian's been a friend for a long time, and even though he's not in the band anymore, he's still a big supporter and helps the band as much as possible. Zeno kind of came on pretty late into the process. Fabian sent me a single that's not released yet, and was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I'm like, "Dude, this rips. This is obviously from the upcoming third album." He's like, "Yeah, it's not coming out until I don't even know when it's coming out."
Okay.
So it's better than the single that's already out. I'll drop that. And I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Would you be interested?" And he's like, "Yes, absolutely, we're in." So that was how I got Xenobiotic in, which is wonderful. Body Prison of the boys, I've had a number of really cool chats with Nick and with Frankie especially. I've seen them live so many times. I adore both their albums, and my initial plan was for them to be not the headliner, but like the 2IC, if you will, like
yes.
the second, like
the
main support,
the penultimate band,
exactly.
Yes, before the closer.
So I spent a lot of time trying to chase a bigger fish.
Yeah, right.
And that was really difficult to play in that field. You're either looking at an independent act, which might not be that draw card that you need, or you're going for a band who is already affiliated with Dal or Live Nation or one of the other big agencies, and yeah, that unfortunately just couldn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, what if we get another band in of your level and you guys kind of co-headline? I think that the bill is stacked enough with a bunch of smaller bands as well who probably deserve more notoriety than they're getting, and I think that's the really cool thing. Like Body Prison and Xenobiotic are awesome, and like while they're not the biggest bands in the country, they've got followings. There's a lot of smaller bands on this bill that probably deserve a better following than they are already getting. And I just want to give cool bands opportunities to hopefully grow their profile and get more opportunities.
Yeah, and I think it's a sick kind of opportunity for bands to be on like a mini festival of this kind, where it's like, I guess like lower stakes, you know what I mean? Because it is a show at the Tote, no shade to the Tote, but like, you know, you could play your own show there, whereas if you're part of a bigger multi-stage fest at the same venue, it just kind of elevates it a little bit. But it's still not like you're, I don't know, at some fucking stadium or arena or something like that. I mean, so like you're kind of in the middle,
yes,
stakes wise, and it should just be a fun time.
I hope so. I'm sure it will be. Like all the bands are awesome, so we'll have an amazing time. The vibes will be high.
Yeah, sick. Speaking of bands that deserve a little bit more of shout out, I see friends of the show, The Last Martyr, are on here, as well as Identity Error. We've featured Saving Face on the show before, I think. And then I believe maybe Bitterkind or Dead Skin. But I recognize pretty much all of these names. Like they're bands that are very much active, very much playing, you know, regional kind of local shows. So let's kind of run through them kind of quickly, and you can just give me a brief kind of shout out. Is it Abriact?
Yeah.
Abriact. That's one I'm not familiar with.
They're really cool.
Okay.
Shout out Abriact. They're a metallic hardcore band from Country Vic. I think they're Bendigo, Sale kind of based.
Okay, that makes sense.
I interviewed them when they put out their album back in 2022, I think it was. Just good metallic hardcore. Like there's not a lot of bands that kind of do that metallic hardcore really. They get the balance between the two really well.
Yeah.
Bands are either like very metalcore or they're very hardcore.
Yeah.
They just tick both boxes really well. Big breakdowns, big riffs, and they're just the nicest dudes.
Sick.
Their album rips. It's very, very cool.
I'm sure they're stoked to be a part of the bill, especially if they're from that kind of more regional background.
Absolutely.
I've already heard of Bitterkind
Yeah.
and Deadskin as well. Alara, I'm not terribly familiar with, and Ghost Seeker.
Cool. So Alara are from Western Sydney or Eora.
Okay.
They are also the guys who do the Your Locals shows up in Western Sydney, the all ages events. They put out a really cool EP in 2025 called Dong, which is named after I can't remember if it's the bassist or the guitarist, but one of their members. Their name is Dong, so it's the Dong EP.
Okay.
Just good, fun metalcore, and the scene that they are building there in Western Sydney is incredible. It's all ages shows used to be something that I went to a lot when I was young, and we don't see that these days.
No.
We were talking off mic before about my oldest son Logan. So his first ever show was Good Things 22, and he was 17. So
Yeah, wow.
he'd obviously missed a lot because of COVID and didn't have the opportunities to go to shows. But I was going to gigs when I was 14. I would go to freezer shows. So yeah, Alara are sick. They've got a good following in Sydney, and I think they've only played in Melbourne once before. They came down for Bitterkind's headliner when they put out their 2-track last year. Just really good dudes.
Yeah,
really good
cool.
dudes.
I mean, speaking of all ages shows, there was the thing that came up this week with Speed putting on their own self-curated series of shows,
So cool.
which is free all ages shows. They're making sure that there's a ticket or pass allocation of a certain number for people under the age of 18. So they're making sure that it's not just going to be booked out by people our age or whatever. So there are people putting that stuff on and kind of giving back to the community that they're a part of. I agree with you. Should be more of it.
Much
but
more. Yeah.
there are people kind of recognizing that lack and kind of doing the work to put it in. So it's cool to hear that Alara are doing that for where they're from.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about Ghost Seeker.
Ghost Seeker are really cool. I saw them, I think it was an AM/PM show with Future Static before Future Static went to Europe to become the behemoth that they're on their way to becoming. Really cool. Just modern metalcore, 2 vocalists. So kind of make them suffer kind of vibes. If you like that kind of little bit of electronic, female cleans, dude screams. They're good. Yeah.
Yeah, sick. And we've already shouted out Identity Era, Friends of the Show, go watch our episode, Saving Face, Scattered Limbs.
Yep.
I feel like I recognize the name, but I don't know much about them.
Very new band. They put out their debut EP in 2025. It's self-titled Melbourne Slam. So it's really funny. Slam was wasn't ever huge, but there were bands. We had bands like Autopsy who were kicking around from Melbourne and doing national tours and the like. And
now you've got Alga Mortis.
Alga Mortis as well. I think Scattered Limbs just played with Alga Mortis as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you like bands whose vocals sound like you're rubbing 2 bricks together, you'll like Scattered Limbs. Lots of breeze.
It's an acquired taste.
Oh, of course. At the same time, it goes to the multi-genre nature of the bill, and it's they're going to be a really fun band to see live.
Yeah, sick. And let's touch on Seventh Circle, Timepiece, Robin from No Barriers,
Love
hardcore band.
Yeah.
We featured them on the show last week.
Yep.
Talk to me about Seventh Circle, and then we'll touch on the last 2.
Cool. So Seventh Circle, again, another kind of metallic hardcore band, I guess. They put out their debut EP, Burn. Is it Burn or is it Sever? Burn might be the name of one of the songs.
I'll fact check you in the edit.
EP came out very early 2025, and I was like, this is sick. Saw them live. I'm like, oh, I know these guys. They used to play in, a couple of them used to play in Run, but back in the day, they used to play in Gotham City Heart Attack. So if anyone knows Gotham City Heart Attack, it's a couple of dudes from that. Just good metallic hardcore, biggest breakdowns, kind of a little bit of a country-ish aesthetic, a little bit of bluegrassy vibes.
Weird.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've realized now that I recognize the name, but I get them confused with Seven Hells.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the 7. It throws me
Oh,
off.
100%. And I know that you talked about Seven Hells on the Ends in Tragedy chat as
Yeah,
well.
because they were giving them a shout out, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with those guys, and I realized that I'm familiar with this band too because they're the guys that were in Run with Lachlan. But I think in the back of my brain, I have merged those two names together.
Very easy to do. There's only so many letters in the alphabet.
This is true.
Yeah.
Kiss of the angels, fall of the divine. Hatred makes home, and the son of mine is so good to feel. You're lost on the boil. When you make it to the scarecrow. Fuck you!
Okay, final 2 acts on the lineup. You've got Vault Hill and Wallet Inspector. Admittedly, not terribly familiar with either of them.
Cool. So Volt Hill are friends of my show. So they're a performer member at Tyrannocoreus on PBS,
Nice.
which is wonderful, and I greatly appreciate their support. Kind of, if you're a fan of stuff like Killswitch, then you'll probably like Volt Hill. So
That
it's
melodic
kind of
metalcore
yeah,
sort of
melodic
stuff.
metalcore, a little bit of a thrash influence, like
Nice.
you know, throw some 80s Metallica and Slayer in there as well. Yeah, punishing riffs, cleans and screams, and they bat well above their average, in my opinion. They're working on a new EP, which I'm sure will see the light of day in 2026 at some stage. Also, the drummer is Frankie, who is also in Body Prison.
Oh shit! There you
Yeah,
go. Is he
yeah.
pulling double duties?
Yeah.
Brutal.
And yeah, the singer and the guitarist are twins.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Morgan and Adrian. So shout out the O'Brien boys.
Yeah, right. Shout out. And final band, Wallet Inspector.
Wallet Inspector are the coolest band that you've probably never heard of if you don't know them. So it's Matt William is the guitarist songwriter for this band, and it's very progressive. Like if you think of things like Periphery and the like, which is weird time signatures but stupidly heavy instrumental, and just writing the wildest things you've ever heard.
Right.
Drummer is David Parks, who I think is the best drummer maybe in the world, definitely in Australia. He's filled in for Amity on short notice. He filled in for Pale Dusk on short notice. Like he's just a wizard, and watching him live switch between something in 5/7 to 9/16 to 3/4 to like he's
Just fractions.
Yeah, he's
Fractions.
seamless, and yeah, they are incredible to see live as well as just to listen to their amazing record Ephemeris. Yeah, very weird but very good.
I will say the name had me thinking of like a Triple J indie rock band of some kind.
Yeah,
So I definitely did not expect that particular genre of Persuasion. So the name is throwing me off. Perhaps that's intentional
I
to
think
kind of
so.
like help reset people's expectations before they get their mind blown apart by fractional gent destruction. Yes.
The first time I saw them, they played the quote from The Simpsons, the Wallet Inspector, and then just ripped into this ridiculous song. It's an experience. It's kind of like, I don't want to be like the Tool guy, but it's kind of like, Tool guys.
You can be the Tool guy.
Yeah, the Tool
It's
fans
two-
will talk about
Two
like,
men on a podcast.
Yeah.
You can be the tool guy.
Well, Tool fans will often be like, "Oh, you need a high IQ to understand this type of music." Like, I'm not saying you need that for Wallet Inspector, but it's definitely if that's your kind of thing. If you are a Tool fan, you'll probably enjoy Wallet Inspector.
Well, it's similar to the Slam thing, right?
Yeah,
it's an
acquired
acquired
taste.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Some people want music that sounds like a calculator.
Yeah.
Some people want music that sounds like, I don't know, people throwing up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like those are two individual tastes, both valid.
There's no right and wrong.
There's
There's
no
just
right and
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Final note for the fest. So you have a fundraiser
Yes.
as part of Dino Mosh. Talk to me about Second Chance Animal Rescue in Craigieburn.
So when I was putting this all together, I spent a lot of time talking to my two best friends, Daniel and Melanie. So shout out to Dan and Mel. And I mentioned that I should do this as a fundraiser, as a way to continue to give back to the community, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to just be a token, let's do, Beyond Blue or something. Like, it's very easy to just do the traditional thing that everyone does. My friend Melanie is actually a vet nurse and works at SCAR, at Second Chance Animal Rescue.
Right.
And she mentioned to me, she's like, why don't you support us? Like, we look after all kinds of amazing animals who have been injured or sick or lost or, orphaned or all kinds of things. And as a recovering vegan, I've always had an affinity to animals, and I love animals. Like, had the best pats with Reese earlier.
That's right.
Once he settled down. And,
Third host.
To me, it was a no-brainer. Just give back to the community and give back to a worthy cause that needs support. Like, they don't get all kinds of funding from big corporations, and it's very much aligned with the PBS ethos that we're also a community-based thing and also rely on the generosity of people to support us. So, yeah, to be able to give back to the community, look after some animals and give them better opportunities, I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I think like it kind of, again, is like spiritually aligned to kind of the idea behind the show itself. Like you've got a lot of, local bands, independent bands that give back to their own community and play in their community, So like having a charity that isn't perhaps at that national awareness level, that is more kind of local and regional, but still very much deserving of support, like it matches what you're doing with the lineup. It matches what you're doing with the PBS ethos. It all kind of seems of the same kind.
I think so too.
And who doesn't love animals? Like,
Absolutely.
come on.
Yeah. Even if, I mentioned to you before that I don't have any pets at home, and that's because my mother-in-law is petrified of all animals. So, like,
Yeah, right.
I literally have to choose, like, do I want a dog or do I want Nonna?
Yeah. Wow.
But I love animals, and I've always loved animals, and I'm sure that at some point in our lives we will get pets as well. So I think it doesn't matter whether you're an animal person or you just like the idea of other people being animal people, which is also a justified response. I think everyone should want people to be safe or animals to be safe and to be looked after, and that's what it comes down to.
I completely agree. That pretty much brings us to the end of all the beats that I wanted to hit, because we touched on the radio show, we touched on Dino Mosh. Those are the two big bits. To kind of close things out, like, what do you have planned for the rest of the year?
Yeah, sure.
Are you doing anything special with the show, PBS, stuff you want to plug, gigs you're looking forward to? Anything?
Yeah,
Floor is yours.
Lots of things. So at the time of recording of this, I've got Better Lovers next week, which will be really cool. I had a really good chat with Jordan Buckley and Will Putney, which will be out of my show next week.
Little some coming up on the pod of that persuasion as well.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
Shout out Janine.
She's the best. So Better Lovers, and I've got Head PE on my show next week as well.
Well, what a double header!
It's so ridiculous. The week after that, I'll have Born of Osiris and Signs of the Swarm.
I completely forgot that tour was happening.
It's so
I
good.
got serviced an Instagram ad and I was like, oh, fuck, that tour's happening as well?
It's going to be so good.
Crazy.
I've never seen Boo, and I'm so excited to see them. But Signs of the Swarm were awesome when I saw them in 22 with Within Destruction.
So, all right, brief tangent. I've always loved Born of Osiris. I definitely stopped listening and kind of jumped off after like 2015.
Yep.
But the Discovery record, like 2011 record, fucking smokes. It's so good. And I loved like the EPs and all the kind of like earlier stuff.
Yeah, the New Rain.
The New Rain and all that sort of stuff. But I saw them, they did a tour, and I think the tour was like kind of poorly managed, or like the guy who booked it was a bit of an idiot or whatever. But I remember like the tour being very haphazard. When I lived in Brisbane, they played this random venue that I'm pretty sure wasn't a venue, and it was like a yoga studio, and it was like above like a 7-Eleven in West End. So like random suburb, random location, venue that I'm pretty sure wasn't even a venue, and they like played a floor show, and it was crazy. And there was maybe like 30 people there.
That's ridiculous.
It was psycho. And it was just after the Discovery came out. So I want to say like 2012, 2013. But that's the only time I've seen them. And it was cool as fuck.
They are a very cool band. And obviously with the Discovery, they're doing the Discovery tour. It's the 15-year anniversary of that album, which
I think still probably one of their biggest records, if not their biggest record.
100%.
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to the band. And I love all their albums to a, like... You know, I don't dislike any of their albums, but like the Discovery is absolutely top of the tray for me. So very excited that they're not only coming to Australia and that I got to have a really cool chat with them, but also that they're going to play what I'm assuming is going to be a predominantly Discovery-filled set list.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I had a really cool chat with Jacob Charlton from Thornhill, which we can.
I heard you shout that out.
Oh, my Blood Oath chat.
In your chat with Alison and
Yep.
Rick, because they played the Christmas show
Yes,
with Thornhill.
That's right. So yeah, that's all I've got confirmed coming up. But I'm forever getting more opportunities. My inbox is always open, and I'm looking forward to chatting to a lot more bands. And you know, if anyone's in a local band and is interested in helping elevate their profile, by all means, hit me up on socials and let me know.
Blow up his DMs.
Yeah.
Get at it.
Yeah, more than happy to have a conversation.
Have you confirmed with Jacob exactly where he's going to be for the interview? Are you doing it in person in the studio?
No, already recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he on a golf course?
No, he was at home.
I had them on the show before on the album cycle of the last record. And it is still one of the craziest interviews that I've done because they dialed in from the golf course, and they were, it was Jacob and Ethan, and they were like on separate iPhones, but together in the same buggy. And then like one of them was like teeing off, and then the other one would be chatting to me. And then they would like go out to the green and just like put the phone on the green, and then there'd be like a fucked up angle of them like teeing off. It was wild.
That's hilarious.
And admittedly, there's like that little like part of me that was just kind of like, this isn't great. This is probably going to be a shit interview. But then I was just kind of like, nah, fuck it. And I just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah.
And it came out really good. And it was like very funny and still a good interview. But sometimes you just have to lean into the bit. And I was like,
100%.
okay, well, they're just going to be playing golf while I do this. So let's see how that works.
You just got to roll with it. Absolutely.
So I'm guessing Jacob was not golfing.
No, he was not golfing. No, he was
Disappointing.
At home. Yeah, it was a really good chat though. I think it was the third time I've spoken to Jacob.
Yeah.
And
Lovely
guy. Absolutely. And a big fan of Thornhill and everything they do, and love Bodies. I think it's an incredible album, and they're going to have a pretty big year after having an enormous 2025 as well.
The Aria, the Sleep Token Tour, like
Yeah.
they're definitely up and up and up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see. They deserve it. They
Absolutely.
work so hard.
I think we're going to pull the pin on the main show here. I feel like we've hit all the beats. We've done almost a tight hour.
Beautiful.
So a couple of professionals at work here. We know
Nailing it.
exactly when to pull in the apps. Ryan, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Owen.
I will have all details for Dino Mosh. If there's tickets available, there's links and stuff for you to get them. Let's sell it out. Sell it out for the man.
Hell yeah.
Hello, Owen popping in to say, please sign up for the TPD Patreon. This is what helps us keep the lights on and keep the show going. The link is at the bottom of your screen right now, patreon.com/tpdpod. All of our patrons get exclusive access to Side B of our roundup episodes, so you get a few extra tracks, as well as our feature album discussion and the full show experience. Our patrons also get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes, off-the-cuff chit-chat from all of our guest episodes. But the patrons are the ones who make all of this happen. For as little as $5 a month, you can sign up to the TPD Patreon, and it really helps us out, really helps us keep the show going. So shout out to all of our patrons, shout out to our executive producer patrons. You're the real ones. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the show.